welcome to the 4 teams that are taking part this afternoon. We've got 2 teams in the intermediate class and 2 teams in the senior class. I think for the benefit of the contestants, I'd like to introduce who the various people are here. Can I first of all introduce the 3 judges? They're rather important because they're going to decide how well or otherwise you do this afternoon. That's Jeremy, Derek and Bob sitting in a row of 3 there. Can you all see them? All very, very competent, experienced and great expertise in the skill of public speaking. So they're good people to have. As I said, we've got 2 competitors in the intermediate class and we're going to start with them. As you 3 gentlemen are already sitting there, would you be happy to be the first team?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. May I start by thanking each and every one of you for coming to the Blandford School this afternoon to support this wonderful competition. The topic we have chosen for this afternoon is the money that goes into sport healthy? May we first introduce our team. I am Connor. I enjoy scouting and reading most fiction books, such as Diary of a Wimpy Kid. This is Kai, and Kai has many dreams. One of many is to become a footballer. And on the end is Louis. Louis, like myself, likes reading. So let's turn to the topic for today. The topic for today is the money that goes into sport healthy? I wonder what your thoughts are on this. I can assure you that the speaker today will inform you, challenge and maybe persuade you to change your mind about this subject and provoke you. So hopefully this topic will be on top of your mind today. It is my pleasure to introduce Kai as our main speaker today. So, ladies and gentlemen, here is Kai.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today will be, like my chairperson that said, the money put into sport healthy? Just because you heard that I enjoy football, I put most of my points on football. The players do deserve the money they're paid because they put their bodies under so much stress, and some players are off for 9 to 12 months. So that's a year of your life, maybe in hospital or maybe just sitting at your house doing nothing. There is so much money in football because we put so much money into watching it. So how people pay for BT Sports and Sky Sports so they can watch the football game or the cricket game, so they get to enjoy it. The sponsors pay the club lots of money for doing what they do, and if the manager has to spend lots of money to get the best players, then that means they're going to be playing better. So that means they'll get into better tournaments, and if you win the tournament, you get millions and millions of pounds, which gets paid back into the club. So that means the club has got more money, but paying for them players to come to their squad. So they are getting more money back. I do not think, and hopefully you do too, I don't think they are paid too much money because they are paid based on their talent and skill. A better footballer, for sure, will be paid higher compared to another because they're doing more for the team. A great football will make a team better and better until they are, let's just put it out there, the best team in the world. Lots of fans come to watch these players play because they might be a fan of the team, the fan of the player, and so then they'll become really popular. The team will also win, like I said earlier, they'll win competitions awarding a great prize of money. Talking about the fans, they are willing to pay high prices in order to watch the football matches. Normally the tickets will cost around £20 to £50 per person depending who you're watching, and 90% of it is given to ticket holders. So if you buy a ticket holder, that's going to the club. And imagine how many people go to watch a football game. Maybe 10,000 more. So it costs maybe £700 to go to buy a season ticket. So that's already £700,000 just for that season. And then you've got the people and then some go, maybe 10%, the other 10% is given to often prizes, which is, and if some people sell them, so you need to take it all into consideration. And then now I'm going to come to the Olympics, which it's got lots of world-class athletes, and I got to say, we brought home loads and loads and loads of medals. So that, and then if some people were to put them in, they could display them, then people maybe come to see them, so then they could do that. Some of the most talented people in the world, if they did not have the Olympics, could go through their life and no one will know about how much talent they've got. And so that means they could have some of the, don't put the money into the Olympics, then people won't be able to see them, and they won't be able to let's just say show off their great achievements. How much money do you think it costs to make a Formula 1 car? And then let's just say if they pay a lot of money to make that car, and then they win the races, they win more money back from making the car. Maybe it costs, like I said, £1 million, and they win maybe 6 to 10 million pounds in a race. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Kai. I can see that your speech this afternoon has really made our guests stop and think really hard about this subject. I can see that some of the audience are dying to ask some questions, so if you are, may I invite you to raise your hand?
Thanks, Connor. What evidence have you and your team found to suggest that the huge income that comes into the clubs like Manchester United? What evidence have you found that all that money benefits the local population and the local economy?
Well, if you just take it in the normal, if you take in because you can find out, normally it tells you how many people in the stadium, how many people are watching it on TV. You can find that out on the internet, and if you do that, you can take how much it costs to go to that stadium on just a normal club website. You can just times that by that, and then you've got, if they do win the season, like Manchester United, I think it was 2 seasons ago, I think they get how much, can't remember how much money they get by doing it, but then they get the money back, and then they've got maybe more money to spend on the next season to buy another player.
But does it benefit the local population and the local economy?
Yeah, because if you're a football fan, you can watch them on, you can go to see them, and then you can use their own, if you pay to get better players, you can see how they play and what their tactics are, and if you wanted to take their skills in, you could use your own, you could adapt them, and then you could use them off, show them off. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to invite the talented Louis Crosby to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Connor. Well, first I've got to say thank you to Kai and Connor for that interesting speech about our sports today. Second of all, I would like to thank the questionnaire for the interesting questions that he had brought to us today. And thank you for being here. Can we give Kai and Connor a round of applause?
Thank you very much indeed. In my assumptions, we have with us Benny.
Yes.
Yes. Ellis.
Yep.
Yes. And James.
Yes. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome today to the Blandford School, where we are both happy and honoured to host the first round of the Rotary Youth Speaks competition. Now, if I may introduce our team, I will be the chairperson for today, and my name is Benedict Hoffman, a hopeful physicist who is planning to study at King's College in London. To my right, we have the main speaker for today, who is known none other than by Elias Mead. While Elias is both an intelligent and assertive figure, he has a knack, a love, and this love drives him towards studying this very subject at the London School of Economics. While this subject, of course, is philosophy, logic, and scientific thinking. The topic, of course, this leads me on to, is why he is the only man for this topic today, is determinism versus free will. Do we actually have free will, or is it merely an illusion? Is everything predestined and we can do nothing to change? All this and more will be answered today by our very own Elias Mead. The proposer of the vote of thanks for today, who will be James Willis Fisher, a most charming and persuasive young man indeed. I very much look forward to hearing both him and Elias speak today, and as should you. Elias, you have the floor.
Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm about to present to you today may well change your life. Before I outline the main arguments of the determinism versus free will debate, I'll begin by presenting you with a few questions. Questions that you can ponder for the duration of this presentation. Ones that, if I have been a successful speaker, you will carefully consider for the coming days, weeks, months, maybe even the rest of your life. My first question is, are events predetermined? Secondly, what are the implications to us if they are? We seem to be conscious of our freedom. We usually regard ourselves as free agents living life in an open space of possibilities. Each and every one of you made a conscious decision to be here today. At least you think your freedom and choice led you to be here. To some extent, I disagree. Unfortunately, I cannot thank any one of you for being here because it is likely that it was entirely inevitable and there is no proof to suggest that you would have done otherwise. Let's begin with the notion of free will. Free will is a philosophical term for the capacity of rational agents to choose a course of action among a range of various alternatives. It suggests that we are in control of our decisions. We are not merely creatures of instinct and desire. We can pull ourselves together to fight and to control our obsessions or addictions. We deserve praise when we succeed. If we fail, we may deserve and sometimes receive punishment. But freedom brings responsibility, and people who abuse it deserve blame and punishment. But nobody deserved punishment for failing something if they could not do it. It would be most unjust to punish me for not having gone to the moon, or to punish a man in prison for not having kept an appointment outside of prison. Here the obstacles are beyond that agent's control. That means he or she is not to blame. It is not in their free will. So our moral reactions, as well as our ordinary thinking, seems to presuppose that sometimes, even if we had acted badly, we could have done otherwise. I could tease myself with the prospect that if I hadn't criticised my head teacher's swanky new haircut, then perhaps my university reference could have been much better. But might this consciousness of freedom be an illusion? Could we really have acted otherwise than we did? Here is an argument that suggests otherwise. The past controls the present and the future. You can't control the past. Also, you can't control the way the past controls the present and the future. So, you can't control the present and the future. In fact, you can't control anything at all. The first premise of this argument is a thumbnail version of a doctrine known as determinism, which can be put by saying that every event is the upshot of antecedent causes. The state of the world at any moment is the result of its state immediately before. Earlier, I presented you with two questions. To answer my second question of what are the implications, if determinism of this form holds, we are essentially annihilating all responsibility. We are so influenced by our surroundings and prior causes that all need for blame and justice becomes entirely elusive. Still, we punish people for acts they may have had no personal control over whatsoever. With an endless chain of cause and effect, it now becomes difficult to interpret all events as not being inevitable or bound by fate. Earlier, I displayed no sincerity or thanks for your kind attendance. I was dismissive and impertinent, but that does not mean that my insolence was suitable. If the future is predetermined by our genetics and past experiences, then why bother with manners and courtesy? Why care about being nice to other people? Why should I have the decency to thank kind individuals, such as yourselves, for arranging and attending this fantastic event? There may be, in fact, a solution, a doctrine known as compatibilism, and it argues that determinism and free will are compatible. Your freedom lies in the way action flows out of your cognitive processes. So how does the compatibilist respond to the original argument about control? A thermostat can disprove the line of argument I presented earlier. Fiddling with the dials of a thermostat in the present will affect the future in regards to temperature. According to compatibilism, that is how we control things. We are involved in the causal order. We are part of the way in which the past controls the future and the present. The present is the future's past, and therein lies our responsibility. If a friend of mine chucks my peaceable old dog out the window, he could defend his actions by arguing that he had a negative past experience of dogs and parents who always advised him to kick his problems out of windows, meaning that it wasn't his fault. Of course, I wouldn't be happy or satisfied by his response, so I resort to thumping him. I have now involved myself in the causal order. By thumping him, he'll probably think twice about chucking dogs out of windows in the future. Thus, we can accept the influence that cause and effect has whilst maintaining our free will and responsibility. Although my vicious dog launching may have been somewhat predetermined, an impact can still be made to ensure that similar things don't happen again in the future. It may have surprised you that I began with the suggestion that this talk could change your life. But I'd now like you all to reflect on whether your thoughts at this very moment would have been different had I chosen to speak about another topic. Maybe you wouldn't ever have considered this combative dilemma at all. The purpose of the past 6 minutes was to question whether we have any control over our future or whether we only have, as Immanuel Kant put it, the freedom of clockwork. Unfortunately, I cannot provide a satisfactory or conclusive answer to my first question. It is now in your hands to make up your mind about determinism. I have caused you to consider this problem, and it is now up to you to reflect upon it and see what effect it has on your future.
Thank you, Elias. I think I speak for everyone in the room when I say you've given us much food for thought. Now, are there any questions for our speaker today?
Yes, thank you, Benny. Can you tell me, is the benefit of free will limited only to how we behave, or can it change what we do in life?
I would say our conception of free will mainly will alter our behaviour rather than anything else. Because whether events are predetermined or not doesn't necessarily affect anything, because we still have a conception of free will even if it does not exist. Okay? So for instance, if I believe that I can control whatever happens, I believe that I'm in control of my own destiny, that it isn't already set, then perhaps this could motivate me to do something positive in the future. So I could think, it's okay, something went wrong, but at the same time, I can now change what I've done and I can improve things. So even if, which is entirely likely that events are predetermined, I can still believe that I control and I can change a mindset, but at the same time, it could be entirely elusive. We may not have anything whatsoever, and we must embrace the fact that the past has a huge influence to how we are now, and we can't change that. But at the same time, we can also embrace determinism and acknowledge that the knowledge that we have formed over our lifetime will be enough for us to base and alter our future decisions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elias. I would now like to hand over to the proposer of the vote of thanks for today, who is James Willis-Fisher.
Thank you, Benny. I believe, unlike my colleague, I'm obliged to thank you for being here today. I'd firstly like to congratulate Elias, who, even though is suffering from a cold today, has still confidently executed a well-argued opinion on this philosophical notion. I'd like to thank the questioner for his insightful and challenging query, and again applaud Elias for the decisive and clear answer that he provided. Before coming here today, I myself was sceptical of the argument that he has presented, but after hearing him speak, I've started to question what I thought I knew to be my personal and self-motivated decisions, which all ultimately are decided by past experiences that I've encountered. I hope that you too are thinking about the questions that Elias earlier posed to us in his argument. Are events predetermined? And if so, what does this mean for us with our ideal of humans being free agents of the world? As it has been said, we aim not to provide an overall conclusion to this problem, but instead to ask you to think about what it means to be alive. If all is set is what has by already been done, then do we have any hold over our lives at all? I hope, ladies and gentlemen, that you have enjoyed our presentation of this question and that you all found to some degree that your opinion has been changed on this matter. I would like to pose a vote of thanks for our main speaker, Elias Mead, and to our chairman, Benedict Hoffman. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to ask everyone here in joining me in thanking the members of the Rotary Club for this event today, and on behalf of my colleagues, wish all the other teams taking part a very best of luck.
Now, coming to the scores, we start with the intermediates, and we have a split decision. We had 2 judges for one and 1 for the other team, so you can tell from that just how close it was. But the winners of the intermediate were the boys' team on Is Sport Healthy? So could I ask the boys' team to come up?
Well done. So our winners in the intermediate class are Connor, Kai and Lewis.
It's Louis.
Okay.
Louis, I do beg your pardon.
And could I ask the girls to come up as well, please?
Megan, Isabella, and I'm ever so sorry because there was a last minute change. But Sid here, you see behind the camera, is going to prepare another certificate with your name on it and get it sent to you. All right? Well done.
The seniors was much more difficult to score. It really is by the shortest of heads that we have given first place to the Blandford team.
Well done. So the certificate here for Benny, I think your name might have been spelled incorrectly, in which case we'll get another one done for you. Elias?
Thank you.
And James.
Thank you very much.
Well done to the 3 of you.
And the Milton team, please.
Very well done. I'm sure you're disappointed not to be the winners, but you can hear how close it was, so you can be very proud of what you've done. Peter? I beg your pardon, sorry. Oliver?
Thank you.
And Isabel. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
In conclusion, thank you all for coming along today. Competitors, judges, questioner, timekeepers, cameraman, and all the members of the club that have come along to support the event, and of course to our 12 contestants. Can I particularly thank Andrew and the Blandford School for once again agreeing to host this event, which you seem to enjoy. I hope you do. It seems to be going from strength to strength. Milton Abbey have just told me that they would like to bring 2 teams possibly next year, so that's just a sign of how keen they are to be participants in this competition. So thank you very much indeed for coming, and a safe journey home.